Hey, how's it going? So today, wow, this is like off center. There we go. Today, right now, this is a test, I guess, and if it goes okay, I'll go ahead and put it up. This is a new phone. I have it hooked up to a microphone as well, so I hope that this is plenty loud enough. And I want to say that I have on radio in the background. It's KITI Centralia, Washington, and this channel's not monetized. I don't own any of the music that's playing, but it's the radio, so I mean it's just out there. Um, okay, so that out of the way. What I wanted to talk about is, uh, well, we just had an eclipse, and it certainly really affected me. Oh my god. Um, and it was before the news about the abortion about to get taken away, the right to have one, to the right to have a pregnancy terminated, I should say. And the thing about these astrological kind of events with me, the thing that happens is I'll start feeling the effects of them like a couple of days before they're predicted to manifest, I guess. And sometimes I'll know something is coming, and like specifically, like, oh, it's a gateway or a portal gateway thing or equinox, just, some sort of like important, what do you call, uh, uh, event, like a solar, like eclipses, solar or lunar, whatever, like some kind of planets moving around and affecting stuff. So and then, okay, so like there was that happening, the eclipse, and then there's also just been like a continuous solar storm, like flares and just a big woohoo happening on the sun, like fireworks, like extra double fireworks. And so my caregiver and I had gone to a doctor appointment that I had, and I'm pretty sure if I didn't just come out and say it, I at least referenced the fact that my teeth were false. And so I don't like to wear them if I don't have to, because the upper gags me. And it's just like you'll be in the middle of talking, and then like all of a sudden you're like, "Gug, gug, gug," and it's not good. So once we were all done with that, I took them out and I had them in my pocket. And I know that we had arrived at my apartment complex, and my caregiver had gotten out to grab my mail, and I had started to put the teeth back in my mouth, and then I said, "Oh, these people don't care if I have teeth or not." And I thought I put them back in my pocket. My caregiver says I put them in my purse. They were in neither place. But the thing is we came home, and then I like crashed out, and so I hadn't eaten all day. And then when I woke up, I did eat, and I remember I ate like rice with stuff in it that I had to chew. So I ate it. Like I had them. They made it into the house. But do you think I can find those things anywhere right now? Mm-mm. And I am. I know someone that called me like obsessive for putting stuff in the same place. I don't know why it was so hard to understand that if you put your keys in the same place every time, that's where they will be every time you go looking for them. I don't know why that's like obsessive compulsive, but she loves to be all, you're OCD, you're OCD. So whatever, maybe she knows better than I do. But she's always losing her shit, so I mean misplacing her belongings, not the other kind of losing your shit. So anyway, that's the last time I remember having the teeth that was in the car. I don't specifically remember. Like I have a cloudy memory. I know that the flu that I had like much later. I remember thinking I needed my teeth, and then I ate it just fine. And I don't remember having them, like, taking them out and putting them somewhere. I just can't find them. So that's why I don't have any teeth right now. Yay. And so that happened before the eclipse. And I was like, okay, what is going on? Something's going on, because if I lose something, I can usually find it, and pretty quickly, because I put stuff in the same place all the time. And because we were coming in the house with my caregiver behind me, I know I didn't drop them out of my pocket, because I would have heard them and she would have heard and seen them. She was right, like a couple of feet behind me walking. So they weren't there. And they're mysteriously nowhere to be found in the house. And then other things have turned up missing, or just mishaps. Like that same knife, I was kind of freaking out. Like, where are my teeth? Paging Dr. Teeth, where are you? I had just bought this knife last summer, like a very nice sort of cleaver thing. And because it didn't come with the knife blocks that I have, and it has its own little sheath, that's what I had it in. And I kind of set it behind the knife blocks, and I don't know how this happened. I was washing dishes, I was facing away, I was on, the counter makes an L shape, and where the L crooks is where the sink is, so I had my back to it, and it was on my left, and I wasn't like using the washboard, I was just running water at the sink and, using the sponge. It wasn't like creating all kinds of vibrations, so I don't know why this happened, but while I'm standing there, faced away from the knife slides out of the knife from behind the knife block and into the slot between the wall and the stove. My caregiver wasn't coming back for 2 days. I know how to leverage my weight, though. I was so crazy. I was like, I use that thing 50,000 times a day. There's no way I'm leaving it back there. So I use my body weight and tug that thing with leverage out of the wall and back again. And oh yeah, it looked like I ran a marathon after. It was awesome, but I got my knife, and after I cleaned all of the years worth of hairs and grease and dropped food, and like it didn't look like it had been cleaned ever underneath the stove. So my knife was gross, but luckily it was in the sheath. So yeah, that was like a weird mishap. Like, why did that happen? And then the eclipse actually happened, and this is like a whole other lane of my life, but there was like a weird thing with another person and myself. And before I met this person, I had sketched a picture, and when I met him, I hadn't run across, because I drew the picture 7 years before I met this person. So after I drew it, I remember thinking, who the F is this guy? And, well, that's weird. And I just, like, set it aside, and it got, like, 7 years worth of journals and sketch pads and whatever else stacked on top of it. But sort of midway through the time that I've known this person, not well, it's a strange, like, we don't know each other well. But we had already been like hanging out, talking, whatever, for like a year, off and on, like not regular, like very off and on. And I had to move a bunch of stuff, and then I came across this picture, and my mind was blown, because it was like, oh, that's who this is. And I remembered, like, what I had said when I finished it, like, who is this guy? And then I picked it up, and I was like, oh, and now I know who this guy is. Like, it all came right back to me. Weird. And then the other thing, like that, like as if that's not unusual enough, he had sent me a couple of pictures, and the position that he's in this pictures, there's two of them in these pictures, is exactly the same position that I drew. So I was like, this is exceedingly strange. Okay, this is not usual. So there was that sort of lingering in the background, and then from then on, I didn't know what it meant. The other person involved didn't really give a crap. Like, as far as a response, every time I brought it up, zilch, zero, zip, nada. Like, not a word. He didn't say nothing. Wouldn't acknowledge it. I was like, okay. Oh, I think one time he said, like, oh, it expressed very, very, like, mild interest in seeing it. And because we see each other, or saw whatever, I don't know if I'm going to see him again when I tell you. But, it was sporadic. So I was just like, okay, well, maybe when he comes again, I'll show it to him. And I could have sent him the picture, like in an email attachment, or texted him a screenshot or whatever. But I didn't, because it's a pencil drawing or it was a pencil drawing on white paper. So all you could see was like little faint shines of like the pencil lead and white. Like, it didn't show up in the pictures. So I was just kind of waiting for him to come over and see it in person. And then things got all complicated. I don't want to specify what and why, but it did, and just made things slow down even further, and communication get all screwed up. But like Friday of last week, all of a sudden, I understood why the picture, like what it meant. Like, it was like a whole thing, or it is like a whole thing. And it's so much more than just a picture, but having like everything, the history that I already just told you about it should like kind of illustrate, like, this is again unusual. So that morning I was like, like getting all this like information about it. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. And I kind of like intuited a little bit of it. I didn't realize that it was going to be as big of a deal as I learned that it was. And as I said, this other person is not at all taking the same view on the matter. So we got into it, and I got very frustrated with this person because they were withholding and trying to like not let me own my autonomy, like in the dynamic, and just like it was one thing another time, and then all of a sudden with no explanation it's another thing now. And so that didn't go well, and my behavior was, I know how it looked. I know it looked like a big old baby, but I think I made that clear in the first place that that's what this person was dealing with on a level, not entirely. And because it because I was able to respond where I have never been able to before in similar situations, and because of all this other stuff with the unusualness, I just like let him have it. And plus, the eclipse was making me act and feel crazy, and that was before we all found out about Justice Alito deciding that he was going to take it upon he was going to gird his loins against a woman's right to choose autonomy for her body. And the reason why I told you all this long-winded other stuff is because I feel like it's of a piece. And so the other part of this is, I have mentioned in other videos where you probably could not hear me, and I hope you can hear a lot better here and now, that I've been working on sort of a series about how women are portrayed in media, screen media or text media, like a book or whatever. However, and then how it reflects with life, reflects on life, is reflected by life, all of that. Because when I start talking about media, that's part of it. Is like how does it imitate life, and vice versa. And I already did one uh, unexpectedly about the Playboy documentary, the Playboy Secrets documentary. It's on my Kathy Sample 2 channel, and I know that you can't hear it, and it's at some point I'm gonna have to go back and get the sound reapplied or do a new voiceover or something, but that's not something that I know how to do at the moment, and I have like other priorities. So, but if you are patient and you want to hear what you're saying, I'm so sad it came out low volume because I was so proud of it. But anyway, um, this again, I feel like it has become part of that. It's not really media, but it is like something that happens in real life that's reflected in media, and that is the way that women are treated and like the respect they're given or not, and like what they will comply with and submit to, as opposed to saying no, if I can't have like what I want, and I'm not gonna give you everything you want and I get nothing out of it, like those days have got to end. And the whole like, it's just crazy that I'm still doing the series and this just kind of blew up in the middle of it. And so I felt that come in before I actually knew about it too, contributing to the Eclipse crazy. So I just wanted to kind of like check in on that. I'm actually so pleased I got this new phone, that I'm going to do something else that I had planned later that probably has absolutely nothing to do with women because it's about a bunch of men on a submarine. So if this goes well, I will post it. And if not, I will do another one later, but I think it's going to go good. So anyway, thank you for indulging me, and thank you and good night for a while. Bye bye.